Do you find yourself quarantined without your boo? And you want to keep the fire burning even though you're physically apart? Or perhaps you've been dating someone virtually and things are starting to heat up and you really want to wow them with your sexual prowess. Or maybe you and your partner are separated just by distance. Good news, I, sex coach Caitlin B, am here to tell you exactly how to enjoy virtual sex in all of its many varieties. You see, even though we're not able to get together in the flesh, doesn't mean that we can't enjoy intimacy and eroticism through the magical tool that is the internet. And you are going to want to stay around to the very end because this video is jam-packed with awesome ideas for creating amazing sexy time, whether this is your first or your 4,000th. All right, why virtual sex? Well, virtual sex helps us to stay connected because the same neurons that get triggered when there's something sexy happening in person are the same ones that get triggered when you see and hear your partner over the net. Thus creating a sensation of closeness and satisfying some of our needs for connection. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to consider virtual sex, sexting, phone sex, and video sex. I'm going to break down what each of those is, how to do each one of them correctly, the pros and cons of each, and then I'm going to give you my primer on taking sexy selfies, and I'm going to break down the 3 keys to dirty talk. I told you this was going to be a lot of content. Oh my gosh, by the end of this, you are going to be a virtual Casanova. If you're excited, go down to the comments and type, I am stoked, or whatever, however you describe your excitement. Put your favorite excited and what emoji symbols excitement to you. I just want to hear from you virtually. Anyways, virtual sex is just a fancy way of saying having sex with someone who's not in the same space. And listen, this is nothing new. Your ancestors were writing nasty letters to each other. There's probably cave paintings that were dedicated just to telling someone all the nasty things that a caveman wanted to do to them. But this is a really important skill set for you to develop, and it's going to be really helpful both during times where you're physically separated and when you're together to be really great at dirty talk. All right, let's start with sexting, which refers to sending sexually explicit text messages, including words, still images, and maybe even short videos. The pros of sexting are that you can really take your time to come up with a great response. You don't have to be live in the moment. You can calm your nerves and kind of consider about where you want to go with your conversation. That can also be a con because we can get stuck in our head. Our partner doesn't respond right away, so sometimes we're like, oh my God, did I say something wrong? And you can't hear their arousal to know if what you're saying is working, not to mention that it's easy to get distracted by other things happening on your phone. Second is phone sex. Phone sex refers to talking to a partner over the phone without sharing images or videos. The pros of phone sex are that you can hear your partner, you can hear their arousal, their breath, their moans, their groans, and without the pressure of seeing them, you can really focus on those audio cues. The cons are that there's of course a chance for awkwardness and maybe some giggling and some weirdness, and that's perfectly okay. It's bound to happen. You also might not know what to say, but I'm going to fix that by the end of this video. Finally, video sex. Video sex refers to sharing live video of yourself and usually watching your partner do the same. Think a Skype call with genitals. The pros of video sex are that you can actually see each other. It's just video, it's audio, there's a lot of stimulation, it's hot, it's like watching a porn that's made just for you live. And it feels really real in that way. The cons of video sex can be Wi-Fi connections, self-consciousness, feeling weird about seeing your body like that, and just like the general awkwardness that is being on video. I should know, I'm doing that right now. The other thing is that it requires lighting and angles. I'm gonna teach you all about how to make that work. Now, one of the best things about these forms of sex are that they're relatively safe. You can't get pregnant and you can't get an STD or an STI over the internet. It's also a really great tool if you struggle with premature ejaculation, which, pause. If you struggle with premature ejaculation and you haven't taken my Come When You Want course that is 98% effective at ending premature ejaculation, I don't know what you are doing right here. Go into the description right now and get the dang course so that by the time you get out of quarantine, you don't have to deal with that stuff anymore. Literally, now is the time. Back to my regularly scheduled programming. Another major benefit is that video, phone, and text sex allow us to explore fantasies and different ways of connecting in a safe way. We can role play, we can do all kinds of things that we may be a little bit uncomfortable doing in person. Plus, we don't have the physical and mental barriers like the thin wall of the roommates or the fact that I literally can't do a splits. Or maybe we're just too embarrassed to say things when we're looking at the other person in the eye. All of those things get in the way of us fulfilling our greatest fantasies. And text, phone, and video allow us to push those barriers, try new things, and generally make people feel a little bit more bold to express themselves sexually. So this is a great opportunity to get to know more about yourself and about your partner. Now that we've covered the basics, where do you even get started? Well, it's a cliche around here. A conversation. Initiate a conversation. You've got to have a communication with your partner about whether or not they're comfortable getting sexy with you over the net. Don't take it personally. A lot of people have a story or a discomfort about being seen on camera as sexual. They might have concerns about their privacy. Talk about all of this. Share any fears and reservations that you have and ask your partner to honestly share theirs. The deeper that you can get with this, the clearer the communication you can have, the more barriers that you can remove that would prevent one or both of you from actually enjoying yourself. And just like you would if you were actually having physical sex, discuss consent and boundaries. Tell your partner if there are any words or actions or things that you just don't want to talk about that are turn-offs for you. And also tell them what things definitely are turn-ons for you. If you're feeling uncomfortable, you can even offer to come up with a safe word, one that you can use if either one of you starts to go into territory that makes the other feel uncomfortable. And most importantly and uniquely for this kind of sex, remember that these messages and images or videos should only be shared between you and the partner you're sharing them with, unless you two discuss and agree otherwise. All right, now that we've got communication out of the way, number 2 is to get comfortable with yourself. You've got to be comfortable with what you're working with, both in terms of your desires and how you're going to share your body. I recommend that you do this, or at least start this, by taking nudes. Yes, men, you too, take nudes. You can keep them for yourself or share them with a consenting partner, but find the angles that make you feel confident and feel sexy. The ones that make you look big in the places you want to look big and tight in the places you want to look tight. Here's some advice that I have for taking nudes. Number 1, you look better than you think. You look better than you think. Encourage yourself by playing around. Change the lighting, use candles, use sunlight. Choose a sunny spot like the one that the cat always lays in by the window. Choose to take as many pictures as you want. Trust me, as someone who's on video all the time and gets her picture taken pretty regularly, any picture that I share, there's usually 100 pictures that get thrown out. Nudes are no different. Another thing that you can do to change it up is include a mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror. You can include the camera or you can use it to create a little bit of a tease, maybe hiding a body part. Mirror shots, not just being popular on MySpace, are a great opportunity to share a full body image from a flattering angle and to give your partner something that reminds them of what it would be like if they were there standing across from you. Don't be afraid to use props. This includes lubes, toys, costuming. Make it interesting. You don't have to just have a naked body. Sometimes the bulge of your pants in your boxers is even sexier than an image of just an erect dick. Dick pics are great too, but you can play around with multiple different ways of taking a dick pic that involve a lot of tease. And finally, listen, you don't have to reinvent the nude wheel. There are plenty of pretty sexy images out there that you can pick from. Try looking on Instagram or Reddit, or even checking out some of your favorite adult performers' content. There's plenty of ideas and images that you can draw inspiration from. All right, now that you've nailed the artful nude, let's talk about dirty talk. What I'm about to share with you can literally be used for texting, sexy emailing, sexy dialoguing over the phone or video, and you can use it when you're literally in bed with another person. A lot of people get caught up on talking dirty, and I'm about to demystify it right here, right now. Just like you would be if you were having sex in real life, in physical life, start by setting the scene and give it lots of slow and delicious foreplay. Do not jump straight into the good stuff. You've got to build up some excitement first. If this is new to you, you may want to start with something that's sort of PG-13 to start to get your feet wet. Saying something like, I wish I could feel you in my arms right now, or if you were here, I would be kissing you so hard, are really fun ways to get the excitement started, and you leave a ton of space to build up. If you jump in straight to penetration, you won't have very far to go from there, and there's only so many ways to talk about penetration. So start way back, set the scene. Sexting is all about tease and anticipation. Start by describing the context of where you are. What does it look like? What does it feel like to be there? What are you wearing? Are you sweaty from the gym, or are you squeaky clean fresh out of the shower? Give your partner as many sensory cues as possible. That's sight, sound, smell, hearing, feeling, and tasting. Give them a real image of what it is like to be there. Really conjure that up in your mind. You can even include what you're wearing, a tuxedo, a sexy suit, her favorite boxers, your tight jeans. And if you're doing this over the phone, it doesn't even have to be true. You don't actually literally have to be out of the shower. You could just be saying that you are, because it's part of the fantasy. Also, make sure to talk about the tension that's building up between you. Like, I want you so bad, you're so hot, you're so sexy, I need you now. Okay, here are the only 3 things you ever need to be great at dirty talk. Number 1, describe what you're doing. Number 2, describe what you want to be doing, aka fantasies. And number 3, describe how it feels. If you stick to those 3 topics of conversation, you will never, ever run out of dirty things to talk about. I promise you that. I also recommend, especially if you're new, that you prepare in advance a couple phrases or ideas that you are for sure you want to share. You can do this by thinking of some sexy times that you've had in the past, or some sexy things that you would like to do. Just have these on deck in your mind in case there's a lull in conversation. You can throw one of them in. Remember, when you're engaging in video or phone sex, to ask open-ended questions as opposed to yes, no, as opposed to like, does that feel good? How does that feel, right? This allows your partner's fantasy and yours to mesh into one and create something that is really sexy and really shared between the two of you. Remember that sexting moves so far beyond just describing the physical acts. It's really about setting her up and getting you both aroused before you start talking about the physical acts. Think about this as the foreplay that leads up to the action. Don't skip on the details just because you're not in person. Remember, if you are texting or emailing especially, feel free to take your time. Think about things. Don't overthink them though. The ability to write and rewrite and edit is the best thing about this format, but it also can hold you back. So if you find yourself getting stuck in your head, just send it. All right, on to phone and video sex. Before you start, you're going to thank me later, make sure you have a secure connection and make sure that you will not be disturbed. Nothing is worse than getting cut off in the middle of phone sex because you forgot that you had a meeting or your roommate came home at an inopportune time. Second, for video sex, you're gonna want to make sure that lighting is good. It's seriously one of the most important things of the whole scenario. It doesn't have to be like super bright glaring light. It could be candlelight. It could be a light that's bounced off of a wall, creating like a really soft light coming back at you, something that is indirect as opposed to like shining a flashlight onto your bits. I share this with you because this is seriously one of the major hangups I hear from people all the time. I want to play around on video, but I don't feel very confident about how I look. And this is why I shared with you to take plenty of sexy pictures, play around with lights, get a tripod or a stand for your phone, your iPad, or your laptop so that you don't have to hold it with your hands. This will give you 2 free hands to put on a show for your partner. All right, I recommend that you build up to or even just start off with mutual masturbation. If starting on camera makes you nervous, practice this one over the phone. Practice masturbating while telling your partner what you are doing, what you would be doing if they were there, and how it feels. Remember those 3 from earlier? Tell them in as much detail as possible what you're thinking about, sexy memories that you've had, the way that their hands feel in your body, that sexy thing that they did one time on the beach when you were in Mexico, what they wore on your first date, etc. Remember that phone sex might be awkward in the beginning. That's totally okay. Treat it exactly the same way that you did when you had sex for the first time in real life. Take plenty of deep breaths, relax into it, and start slow. The first time you have phone sex might be awkward, but you know what? So might have been the first time you had penetrative sex, and you survived that. Obviously, you're here watching videos on YouTube today. Here are a couple ideas for what to do when you get the camera running. So as I mentioned, starting with mutual masturbation, but then graduate to adding toys. I recommend a toy-safe water-based lube like the one that Royal makes. I will give you that link in the description. You can also get a masturbation sleeve for you and grab a matching dildo for her, sync them up with speed and timing, and it could practically feel like you're in the room having sex together. If you want to play around with orgasm control or being able to have a little bit more control over the stimulation your partner is getting, there are amazing sex toy companies making Bluetooth and app-controlled toys that you can control virtually. If you want to get involved with some orgasm denial, you can add a little bit of a BDSM element into your virtual play. Another idea that I love is creating a sexy task for your partner to do or for the two of you to do together. This is sort of like a sexy, playful truth or dare. Another idea is that you can edge together, both of you getting as close to the point of no return as possible and then backing off over and over again, building up to a huge simultaneous release. Another awesome idea is virtual role play. Role play out your favorite fantasies. You can be strangers that meet in a chat room. You can be pirates. You can be a boss and a subordinate. You can do whatever you want. And when you're doing it virtually, it's super easy to do. I know for myself, I can feel kind of awkward about playing a character, and doing it online or over the phone, it makes it a lot easier. Okay, now you have so many ideas, you don't even know what to do with them, and you're here. How do you get feedback from your partner that lets you know that what you're doing is working? And equally important, how do you share feedback while also keeping it sexy? Well, when you like something over the phone or video, let your partner know by moaning, by heavy breathing, by words of affirming that it actually feels good or you like what they're saying. They're probably just as nervous as you are, and your feedback will be sure to encourage them to continue in the direction that you like. And do the same for them. Like, listen for their moans and the things that they indicate to you are working for them. Tell them that that makes you hard. Ask them what's making them wet. If you've set up a safe word, don't be afraid to use it. That's what it's there for. And if the conversation kind of merges towards something that isn't really a turn on for you, just try to merge it back. Just the same way that you would if sex turned into a position that wasn't comfortable for you, you would probably just say something along the lines of like, hey babe, this isn't working for me. Can we go back to what we were doing before? Or, this isn't really that hot for me right now. Let's talk more about what we were talking about last night. That thing in Mexico? Yeah, I could relive that 1,000 times. This is actually a super important skill that you'll be able to bring into the bedroom when you get in there together. Most important thing I can say to you is just don't be afraid to make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. And by trying, you can have a lot of fun that you might be cutting yourself off from by not being willing to go there. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be putting on a performance. You can just be yourself. There is no right or wrong way to enjoy virtual sex. Whew, that was so much information. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked that, please check out my course. And in the meantime, this is Caitlin V. Make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and throw me a like if you enjoyed this and if you learned something. I cannot wait to hear about all of the sexy virtual scenarios y'all are gonna create with the information you got in this video. Mwah!